What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Ask a Fence Gal Friday.
That's right. Happy Friday, everybody.
That's right. Hope your guys' week went well. We've already got a comment up here, so we'll go ahead and bring Mitch up. What's going on, Joe? Happy Friday. I was going to say Friday. Happy Friday to you. Brent,
Yeah.
Happy Friday to you. How about that?
Absolutely.
Guys, I hope you guys are having a good weekend. Or had a good week, have a good weekend planned. My mind's already gone. My mind's already on the weekend.
Yeah, you're at 5 o'clock on Friday already.
Started checked out.
Not yet.
It's going to be a long afternoon. Well, guys, welcome to another Ask a Fence Gal Friday, show where I interview Sarah, ask her all sorts of questions about what's going on in Ozark Fence and the fencing industry in general. As you guys have questions, type them in the comments below. As I see them, I'll click on them as long as they're relevant.
Sure.
We'll bring them up on screen and we'll ask Sarah your questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh.
Well, first things first.
Taylor says, Jackson says hi, Daddy, and Aunt Sarah.
Hi, Jackson.
Hey, buddy, how are you? Of course, those of you who follow along know that Jackson's my little man. He always likes watching our live broadcasts.
But he does not like dinosaurs.
He's going to fight you.
I know. There's a riot in your house
He's
right
going to
now.
fight you. He is obsessed with dinosaurs. His whole life is dinosaurs.
He is. He actually could tell you just about any kind of dinosaur. How old is he?
He's 3.
He's three, and he knows 10 times more dinosaur names or classifications than I ever will.
Yeah, so, like, for example, if I were to say, hey, Jackson, why don't you go grab me a pterodon?
Yeah, I couldn't.
Pachycephalosaurus, he's on it. I'm like, is that the one? Does it stay on all 4 legs, or is it 2 legs? Is the long neck? No, that's not it. All right. Brent says, who is Sarah?
Uh-huh.
Well, Brent, if you probably got in a little bit late last week on our broadcast last week. I know you were with us, but so Sarah is Sarah, who are you? What do you do at Ozark Fence?
Well, technically, I'm the CEO, which.
Why don't you explain that a little bit?
So customer experience officer.
Okay.
So I guess a cooler name for that would be almost like a CXO. You hear that sometimes.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe a CXO.
I like that better too.
We'll talk about it. But I'm also his more intelligent, better-looking younger sister as well. So he's been putting up with me for the last 29 years, and it's going strong. It's going great.
There's some days where I just think I may have made a mistake. I may have. But then, you know what? I'll brag on Sarah for a second, because then I see, we see the reviews that come back about, and not only Sarah, but also Sarah's got a great team that works with her. Bethany in our office, Lori that works remotely. They kind of make up our client experience team.
They really do.
And I read really nice things about them, and then I wonder, how much did that cost? What did she have to give them to have them ask these nice things? Anyway, so great. If you've got a residential fence, or someone that had a residential fence, Sarah's the singular point of contact for that project.
Yeah, absolutely. So all things residential, really privacy, chain link, anything like that. So if you have a house, I'm your gal.
Yeah. Now, and we do it a little bit differently in that, so Sarah, you handle everything start to finish, from the initial phone conversation all the way through to the scheduling the project, scheduling the locates, making sure the material's on hand, to actually meeting with the crew, making sure everything gets installed correctly, laid out correctly, and then following up after the project, making sure it went perfectly and that there's no questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So it makes it easier on our customers, and really it's something that we enjoy. My entire team enjoys the project management aspect. So it's really great, and we kind of know that things are getting checked off as we go, and makes it kind of an easier process start to finish. And that way, you only have to call one person, which makes that really nice. Exactly.
So, when you're in any industry, say that a couple times fast, you hear feedback on competitors and those others in the marketplace. And one piece of feedback that we had heard in the past was some larger companies have multiple people that are involved with the process start to finish.
Yes.
So you'd have someone that did the consultation, and then someone else that may do the scheduling, someone else that handles the operations, the installation, and then maybe a third or fourth person that does, the warranty after the sale, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it sounded like there were some frustrations with that. just not knowing who to talk to. Yeah. And I know, if I was having my roof done, I would have the same, hesitations, just saying, now who do I talk to? Now, John says, well, no, it's not me. I passed your folder off to Tim, and let's talk with Tim. And then Tim says, no, it's already over on Melissa's desk. Let me get with Melissa. And me, the homeowner, I'm saying, I just want to talk about my roof, so.
Yeah, I just want to know when it's going to be done. Yeah.
Right. So that's why we're a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, and right from the start, whenever you accept your proposal, that's when I introduce my team as well. I bring Bethany and Lori in on it. They understand kind of what's going on. So just in case I'm maybe at a job site and I didn't see your email immediately, they've got an answer for you.
Yeah.
So it's very much, you're always welcome to reach out to me, but there are, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my awesome team.
Absolutely.
And so it's great. But I said that to say everyone knows each step of the process, which makes that really great.
Yeah, so rather than dealing with one person throughout, you're really dealing with 3 people, but throughout every step of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes it nice. One contact for you.
So Brent, that's who Sarah is. All right. Blake Wixon has a question. Started off with fence questions.
Yeah.
So he says, what's the lifespan of a black chain link fence? Does a black color hold up in the weather?
Absolutely. Yes. So I know you have a little more experience in the technical aspects of black chain link, but yes, it is a powder coated finish. So you don't have to deal with the rust, corrosion, that sort of thing. Can you talk a little bit about the manufacturing of it? I'm not quite as familiar with that.
Well, and so actually, we've got the fittings to talk about, but also the chain link.
Okay.
So the fittings are a powder coated fitting. Now the wire itself is actually a vinyl extrusion.
Okay.
So what they found was when they were powder coating the wire, you would see flaking just because the wire has they would powder coat it first and then bend it. Over time, it could crack and flake, that sort of thing. So they do a vinyl extrusion, which extrusion just means, they roll this thing through a vat of vinyl, make sure every nook and cranny gets coated, and then it gets run through another process of sealing it with basically an automotive grade clear coat.
Okay.
So you don't see the cracking and the chipping anymore. Another thing that used to come up with vinyl coated chain link was fading. We've seen some fences that were installed quite a long time ago where black isn't as black anymore. It's more of a gray in places. So with the new finish I say new finish, it's been around 5, 6, 7 years.
Sure.
But with the newer finish, we're getting away from seeing the fading. Of course, also the splitting and cracking. So now, Blake, there's a caveat here, and that is you can't take your weed eater to it. So it's like anything, right? It's like any process. If you took your weed eater to the side of your car,
probably wouldn't go well
at all. No. So keep that in mind when you're trimming your yard, when you're maintaining your yard around the fence. Just keep that in mind that you don't want to tear it up.
Yeah, I will say too, though, that process, at least in my opinion, it almost makes that fence like the touch is a little bit softer, which makes it nicer. You're less likely to get cut. You're less likely if you have kiddos running around, dogs, that sort of thing too.
Yeah, because the alternative would be like a galvanized chain link.
Yes.
And galvanized, the hot dip galvanizing is just simply another process of coating metal wire. And with the hot dip galvanized, sometimes there's little burrs left. So it goes through a vat of galvanizing compound after it's woven. And sometimes there are little burrs left on that. I remember when I was installing fence, your shirts would always get tore up on the shoulders from putting the chain link on your shoulders. Those burrs catch your shirts and tear them up. And anyway, but yeah, so vinyl coating is softer to the touch as well.
Yeah, but as far as lifespan goes, what would you say on that?
It's always hard to say, right? Because I would say probably 25, 30 years isn't crazy because we've have chain link fences that have been installed.
Oh gosh.
50, 55 years.
Yeah.
We've got a chain link fence, part of a chain link fence that's still standing out at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds that our granddad put in 50, 55 years ago. Now, the reason only part of it's standing is it's still susceptible to trees falling on it, cars driving through it, cars backing into it, which happens a lot out there. But as far as lifespan, I don't think 25, 30 years is crazy. I really don't.
No, and now that I'm thinking of it, we take part of the services that we can provide are removing old fences before we install new ones. And now that we're talking, I don't know that at least in my years of doing this, that I've seen removing a coated I see a lot of regular galvanized chain link being removed, just to your point, 30, 40 years old.
Sure.
But I don't know that I've ever seen a powder coated or vinyl coated chain link come out. So
we had one that we removed, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago that it was old. It was one of the first, I don't know about one of the first, but it was a really old vinyl coated chain link, and it had faded. So it tells me it was part of the original coating process or one of the first vinyl coating processes.
Okay.
But yeah, you generally don't see the removal of vinyl coated very often.
Yeah, but it is a beautiful fence.
It is.
Makes sense.
Makes for a great look. You know, black coated or even green. It comes in black, green, and brown. Mm-hmm. Black is most common. Green and brown are kind of a close second there. Black does a really good job of dressing up the fence.
Yes.
It also does a great job of blending the fence into a background. So, say if you had woods behind your house, a black, it fades really well into that, or it blends really well into the background.
Same thing with scenery. I hear a lot of that. People don't want to, they have dogs and they want to see their beautiful land, but they don't necessarily want to put up a wood fence, that sort of thing. So you're able to see through it. But then to your point, it blends in really well while still looking nice.
Yeah, but they typically don't want a shiny galvanized fence. Right. It's just not the look they're going for with the house. Yep. So that's usually a great application for the black coated chain link.
Absolutely. Thanks, Blake. That was a great question.
Great question. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Stain and Seal experts over in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Joe and Sarah. Hello back to you guys.
Hello.
So who is Stain and Seal experts?
So that is the brand of sealant that we use, Stain and Seal, that we use for all of our staining projects.
Sure. That's right.
Yeah, we actually just got done doing a dumpster fence here in Springfield for a law office that looks great. Got
Turned
pictures
out
back
really
yesterday.
nice.
Yeah, they chose a walnut stain, so it's a little bit darker brown and hide some of the blemishes and such of an older fence.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So we went out and cleaned it first.
Yes.
It was a fairly old fence. It was really dark gray. And so when we were cleaning it, I was out there with him cleaning it, and nothing really seemed abnormal about this particular fence. But then as we cleaned it, we found out there was graffiti on the fence. It was black graffiti. This fence was so dark that we didn't see the graffiti before we cleaned it. Yeah. So I'd reached out to Sarah. I said, hey, we're doing a darker stain on this, right? Because there's some graffiti here that I don't think they want to promote. But the walnut did a great job covering it.
Yeah, it really did. It looks beautiful and just kind of spruces up that parking lot quite a bit. So
it looks so nice. Well, because they'd recently remodeled the building, it looked like.
Yes.
So, they recently remodeled the exterior of the building, so they wanted to stain the fence to make it look great. The fence structurally was still really sound.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
In that case, cleaning it and then staining it worked out really well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great.
Stain and Seal experts, hello back to you. We're glad to have you guys here. We're glad to have you as a partner, as a vendor. Those guys are really great. All right. Shalane Andrews, you guys have created a business model that works for every customer.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Shalane.
Thank
we
you very
appreciate
much,
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we work at, right? So Sarah's title, the reason she and I sat down when she was coming on board and said, well, what should your title be? What are you doing for the business? Like what role are you playing? And she's like, well, I really think that the client experience is paramount.
Yes.
Like it's number one. I mean, let's be honest. We're not the only fence company in town, right? We can't be. There's one company could not take care of all the fences in Springfield. So, but how can we be different? Of the main fence manufacturer, fence building contractors, we all buy from the same 3 or 4 manufacturers. So materials are going to be roughly the same. Now, there's different grades of materials offered, and that's a whole thing. Yeah. But how can we be different? Well, we can focus on client experience. Yeah. We did a video, gosh, it's been a couple years ago, and my point in the video was just saying we're a customer service company that happens to build fence.
Absolutely.
And when you approach any business, now you could be painting. If you're a painting company, you're a customer service company that happens to paint houses, or you're a customer service company that happens to roof houses. That's a key to success. Making sure that your clients are number one, and whatever you're doing can only be a good idea.
Absolutely.
So that's how we came up with your title.
And I think the biggest thing is we've all been in situations where maybe we're purchasing a product or a service and we haven't had that great customer service. And
Yeah.
I think that really, for me, kind of drove this. We want to be a one-stop shop in the sense of, like, I want you to hand your project over to us and not have to worry about anything.
Sure.
Which is, to me, someone that lives a very busy life, that would be so nice to have in, just in the service industry in general. So that was what's really important to me is I love to be able just to trust a company and go, okay, so you're going to come out and paint my house next 3 weeks. I don't have to worry about it. So that's our biggest thing, is just really alleviating the stress of these kind of projects for our customers. And we're happy to do it, and we like to do it. We're, our entire team's passionate about that. I feel very fortunate for that.
Well, and kind of going back to our earlier point, it'd be really nice too to say, you guys are going to come out and paint my house, and you are the person I'm going to talk to.
Yeah.
You're the person I'm going to ask if I have any questions.
Yeah.
I've got one point of contact.
Absolutely.
So, Shalane, thank you. It's great to have you back for another broadcast.
Oh, man. All right. We've got Cindy Shannon. So Cindy was my marketing teacher back in high school. And I got a little funny story for you. So back in high school, I was convinced I was actually going to be a doctor.
Okay.
And, I was going to save lives and, help all the kiddos. And to put it nicely, Mrs. Shannon told me that was not what was going to happen, that I had a business brain and that I was going to end up with, in the business industry and, that sort of thing. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. And then about sophomore year of college, I called her up and said, maybe you do know what you're talking about. So, it's kind of funny. And we're great friends now. And I owe a lot of what I've learned from marketing and DECA especially. So it's a competitive organization within high schools, sort of like FBLA, but pretty honed in on the marketing part of things. So I owe a lot of being able to just go and talk to people and that sort of thing to her. So she's great. She's awesome.
Well, then I have to say, Ms. Shannon, thank you. We appreciate all the hard work you put into Sarah, because we all know it was hard work.
Definitely a lot of patience.
All right. Pink collars.
Hey,
Hello, pink collars. So, Sarah, who are the pink collars?
So, Pink Collars is an organization that we utilize that actually brought us Lori, who's part of my team that we're talking about. I like to call her a customer service rock star.
Yeah, you bet.
So you could probably explain the organization a little bit better.
Yeah.
All I know is they're fabulous, and I love them.
Yeah, they are. They're some fantastic ladies that provide a great service. So, I mean, an easy term for it would be call center, maybe.
Sure.
So that's how I've heard a lot of people talk to them is remote call centers, but it's so much more than that. So Lori technically works for Pink Collars, and then we contract Pink Collars to help us with what we need, which is Lori's often the first person people talk to when they call.
Yes.
But she's also on Sarah's team in that she helps with the scheduling of the projects. She sends out our contract for services, the deposit invoices, that sort of thing. Of course, she answers all the questions that come in on the phone line and gets a hold of Sarah via Slack. So one thing Pink Collars has done for us is they helped us tremendously with our technology. That's one thing that we've tried really hard over the last several years is try to bring technology into the business in order to try to enhance customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help us scale what we do. So they brought us Slack and Trello. Slack is how we communicate with everyone in our team. And Trello's basically an online repository of all of our knowledge. Yeah. More or less, right?
It is. I keep a project management board there. So I know at any given time where, my entire team knows at any given time where a certain project is in kind of that timeline, whether it needs to be located, that sort of thing. So it's been amazing organizationally, and it is. It's very nice to be able to have that technology where, when sometimes I feel like when you come from a family business, that technology wasn't there before.
Right.
And so I feel it's kind of our obligation to make sure that, we're bringing that there to just keep up with the times and keep going, innovating.
Sure.
And I feel like Pink Collars has helped a lot with organizing us and getting us into shape for sure.
I agree. So Pink Collars, thank you. Appreciate you guys sticking around, coming around.
Oh, hello, Leslie. So Leslie, actually, she is on the board of a Sporting Chance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we just did a shooting competition for a Sporting Chance.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie.
Yeah. And shout out to Leslie and actually Georgia. Georgia.
Yeah,
this is Georgia's niece. Yeah.
Okay, this is all coming together.
Yeah.
All right.
Dick Jones used to be really good friends with our dad, Jim, or still is really good friends.
Really good friends.
Childhood friends, and they actually helped bring in the Special Olympics to Springfield. And so they just had this tremendous relationship. They were lobbyists in DC. Like it's pretty cool. So a Sporting Chance, for those that you don't, those of you who don't know, is a organization based out of Springfield that offers the opportunity to play sports to anybody with disabilities. And that can be a cognitive disability, that could be a physical disability. But what's really cool is it doesn't limit it just to children. So it's adults. It's people that have, at some point or another, may have been told that they were not allowed to be on a team. And so Dick just decided, you know what, like that's not fair and that's not right. And so we're going to give them the opportunity to do this. And it's an incredible organization, and Leslie and Georgia and the entire board does a really good job of just making sure that happens and taking care of our kiddos. And so we love Leslie and we love A Sporting Chance, but I could go on all day. But hi, Leslie.
Leslie, thank you for coming and watching, but then also thank you for what you do for Sporting Chance.
Absolutely. All right. Hi, Deborah.
Phoenix, hello.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Do
you have any stories about Deborah? You seem to have had a story just about everyone.
I don't, but I feel like I should. Not yet.
Not yet.
Deborah, we need to get together and we can create some stories.
That's right. Sure. That's right. All right. Rachel says, hi, Sarah and Joe. Hope all is well. So,
hi, guys.
So, Rachel, hello. So, Rachel's actually with My Salesman.
Oh, cool.
So, they are our online quote tool.
That's awesome.
So, Rachel's a rock star over there. Make sure everything's running smoothly. And if I have any questions, she's lickety-split to get them answered for me.
Yeah.
So, so they're our online quote tool.
Awesome.
Hey, Rachel. Stacy Expert says, glad to hear walnut's beautiful.
Oh,
we love walnut.
We do. Walnut's my favorite stain color, I would say.
Yeah, and it's actually one of our top 3.
Yeah.
Right. So while Stain Seal Experts offers, gosh, how many stain colors do they offer?
A lot.
A lot of stain colors. That's one of our top 3.
Yeah.
So we really had to narrow it down to a light, a medium, and a dark. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's like this. When I walk into a store and say I'm buying soup, and there's a whole aisle of soup, and I'm like, okay, well, I want chicken noodle soup. And then there's 32 chicken noodle soups. I say, I just want a chicken noodle soup.
Yep.
And so that's what we're trying to do is pick a top 3.
Yes.
A light, a medium, and a dark, so that we can say we've also got other options if that is something you'd like.
Yep.
But to try to make it easier, here's a light, a medium, and a dark choice.
Yeah.
So, and walnut is our favorite dark color provided Stain Seal Experts.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Brent is like,
oh, I love it, Brent. Keep them coming. This is great.
Brent, can I entice you to come work for us?
Yeah, please.
I would love that. Now, the moving expenses from California might be a little steep, but there's perks to living in Missouri.
There is, yeah.
Such as you get to be right next door to Bass Pro Shop. Same city as the world's largest Bass Pro.
Yep.
Hello.
It's pretty great.
The unfortunate thing, so Brent's not going to do this. I know it right now. Just because, so he's big on scuba diving. Like they just had their lobster opener, and not many lobsters in Table Rock Lake.
No.
That I've seen.
No. I mean, a little murky.
A little murky. I don't know. So, so Brent, to answer your question seriously, who does the hiring? It's a team process. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the position. So if we're hiring, say, a team member on our wood installation crew, our wood production crew, it would be Sarah and I there, also with the crew leader, Scott. Sometimes my dad sits in on those. Sometimes depends on whether or not he's available. But it's usually a minimum of 3. So Sarah and I, and then whoever their direct supervisor, I guess that whoever their direct
team
report
leader,
is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's usually a committee of at least 3. That way we get 3 minds asking questions. We get, 3 different perspectives on any question that gets asked and that sort of thing. And then, of course, we have 3 different opinions on, are they best for the client experience?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that ultimately drives... That question itself is really what drives a lot of what we do. Yes. Is this good for the client experience? Yes. Let's do it. No? Then we probably ought to talk about it and think about it. So, So there's at least 3 of us, Sarah and I, and then whoever their direct report is does the hiring. But Brent, if you ever get tired of lobster spearfishing, I mean, just look us up. We've got Table Rock Lake.
Lots
So
of catfish.
if you want to come, can you? I don't know if you can spearfish for
You
catfish.
Can, well, you can archery. Like you can bowfish.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well,
So
you can carp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these catfish are huge. Like down
Yeah.
by the dam, there's guys that to do your scuba test here in the Midwest, unless you want to travel, you do it down at Table Rock Lake at the dam because it's one of the few places that's deep enough. And there's guys that come back telling stories like their eyes are just big as saucers, telling stories of catfish as big around as 55-gallon drums, that sort of thing. Yeah. Which I guess for us is big, but for Brent who goes to the ocean, like that's where he's like,
that's nothing.
The fish I see, eat that fish. So that's not a big deal. Anyway.
Yep.
Thank you for your question, Brent. Noble, hello. Says, love to see how you guys pursue being the best leaders and informed business owners possible. It shows in your reputation and success. Thank you, Noble.
Yeah,
that's
a big compliment.
That education's huge. Education and experience are huge. If the day you stop learning is the day you start falling behind, or something like that. I heard that somewhere, and it really resonates with me. I'd say it a lot, different versions of it, but it really is true. We don't know everything about everything, obviously. No. So yeah, we always strive to try to learn more and to try to give education, to put education out there.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the main reasons I started a YouTube channel, which is simply shameless plug, youtube.com/Joe Everest, where we talk about educational topics surrounding fencing for both the homeowners and for the fencing contractors. Just because like I said, we all could use some education. We could also use some learning. So Noble, I appreciate you being with us. All right. Stain and Seal Experts has 18 different colors.
18 colors.
Now, I don't mean to call them out on live broadcast, but I know for a fact that Caleb's done custom colors as well.
Oh no.
So it's 18 plus, or maybe 18 asterisk.
Sorry, Caleb.
Something like that. He's made custom colors. I've seen you do it, Caleb. If you're the ones watching, I've seen you do it. So.
But I think that's good to know too, that while those top 3 are the ones that generally they're just the most popular in this area.
Sure.
It's noteworthy to say that, maybe you're trying to match shutters or brick color. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
There are plenty of different options, and what we do is we would come out, we have pieces of wood that we've stained, that we try to match it up as close as possible.
Sure. With the understanding that, so let's talk about shades of stain too. So every wood is going to take stain a little bit differently, right? So the way I usually say is the stain enhances the color of the wood.
Yes.
So if you have a board that's multicolored, so it has a nice, it has a nice wood grain, has nice sap grain, has light and dark colors, it's going to show the stain differently than a board that is, say, all heartwood.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But even still, 2 boards that are all heartwood could show the stain a little bit differently too.
That's true. Well, and it's worth noting too that we like to use the semi-transparent for that very reason. Yeah. We like to be able to showcase, those beautiful characteristics of the wood.
Well, yeah, I love to see the wood grain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and our customers like it too. It's not just us, But yeah, absolutely. Well, and you'll notice too, one of the second options that we love is chestnut. And on the cedar boards that we have now, it pulls a little more red, and it's beautiful.
Because there's red in the wood.
Yeah. So it just naturally pulls those colors, which, a board that may look just kind of a general tan color, when you put that stain, it pulls out those natural colors, which is really cool.
Really enhances the look of it.
Yeah.
Sarah, could you hand me my drink right there next to you? I had a tickle in my throat. It's not going away. I'll try to cover this up. This is not a plug. Although if they wanted to send me, if you want to sponsor the show, I'm looking to talk. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I'm going to see if I can't do this. Let's see.
Yep. So click the comment to turn it off.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
This one here. All right. Hiding it.
We're learning this together, folks.
Okay. Let's get that. This one.
Sure.
Social media is your company.
Yeah. So I've noticed you brought social media to your company, which a lot of the older folks don't understand, but it is key. Great job. Thanks, Brent. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you still see this a lot, right? You still see a lot that companies are slow to adopt new technology. And whether it's social media, whether it's, a CRM, whether it's a scheduling software, that sort of thing, sometimes companies can be slower to adopt new ideas, new technology, that sort of thing. We just and I'm not saying that we adopt everything either. So
That's true.
it comes back to, is this best for the client experience?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about this live broadcast, that's a discussion of, is this live broadcast good for the client experience? I think it is, because it gives people an outlet to ask questions. So, Blake's question about the black coated chain link.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for client experience. But yeah, so Brent, one thing we've noticed is that social media gives us almost like a direct connection with clients and potential clients.
Yeah.
More so than, say, a radio or television, Yellow Pages, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows us to have this conversation right now. So I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah.
So, Brent, thank you. Appreciate the recognition. Oh, here he is. Caleb was saying still expert, says, we've got more. I knew it. I knew there was more than 18. So now
terrifying.
Caleb's asking the question, who said 18? Caleb, who's got the account?
This is broadening discussions within their organization.
Yeah.
Too. Thank you, social media.
Yeah, so social media now let Caleb know that someone out there is saying 18 colors. So, no. So, guys, thank you. As you guys have more questions, bring them in. Well, let's see what the time's doing. Let's see. So, we're doing great on time.
Yeah, we're good.
12:40. So we like these to be about an hour-ish. We've got good discussion, conversation going on. But so Sarah, how's the week gone as far as fence projects?
So far, so good. We've been kind of chugging along. The weather's been really cooperating.
Yeah.
The only really snafu is we're doing a job down in Branson, and just naturally there's quite a bit more rock down there.
Sure.
So it's been a little bit longer of a project than we thought, but we account for that in our weeks. So
I was going to say you probably accounted for that in the scheduling.
Yep. Absolutely. But I mean, that's something that we kind of know going into it. We know Branson is naturally just a little more rocky.
Sure. Sure.
Here in town, it's actually kind of incredible because you really don't know what you're going to get in any backyard.
It's really hit or miss.
One neighbor can have, holes full of rocks, and then the next has all topsoil. And it's really incredible. Hole to hole is completely different too, but you can't really judge it here in town, but in Branson you can guarantee you're gonna hit some rocks.
Oh yeah. Well, really. So if we're talking about like what we consider rocky for scheduling, anything, say there's a line Ozark to Nixa south, we're gonna plan on there just being more rock there. Yeah. Especially when you get down around the lakes area, you're gonna hit rock. And the rock we hit up here is a little bit different, so it's gonna be chunk rock. It'll be a little bit easier to get through. Once you get south of Ozark and Nixa, you start getting into ledge rock. Just really large, solid rock, and you just plan on it taking longer.
Absolutely. Yeah, have to use just a different bit for the auger and just a little more labor-intensive. So it just takes a little bit longer.
Now, you mentioned the weather. We're having some great weather here in the Midwest.
Beautiful. I can't really make up its mind, though.
No, we could use some rain.
Yes.
We could use some rain. If anybody out there is sending rain, send it our way. It's been really dry lately.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of rain. We did have our first frost last night.
Yep. Last night got down to like 28, 29 degrees.
Yes.
A little bit chilly.
A little chilly this morning. But as far as weather conditions for fence building, it's been great. Sunny.
Sure.
So as much as we need the rain, like it's been kind of nice not to have torrential downpours, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we kind of hope for rain nights and weekends.
That's
nights
really
and
true.
weekends.
Yeah. Let it soak in.
If it could just not rain during the day, that would be perfect. During the weekday, you could let it rain all night long. And honestly, like I know some of you are going to be upset about your weekends, but I'm absolutely okay if it rains on the weekend because then it's not going to affect our fencing schedule.
Maybe mornings and evenings on the weekend as well.
Yeah, we'll
if we're being picky.
We'll talk about it. Let's talk about that though. So let's talk about weather and how it affects our schedule. So last week we talked a little bit about winter weather.
Yeah.
As we're getting into fall, winter comes next.
Yep.
And we talked about how really the only thing that really puts us off is going to be ice. That's really the one reason we would cancel work for the day is going to be ice. But let's talk about rain. So obviously it's going to rain when it rains, right? So what do we do? What do we do to account for, say, a rainstorm that comes in on a Monday and it just rains out on Monday?
So when we do the scheduling process, we let our customers know that, your date is for maybe Monday. So we try to plan on setting posts Monday, Tuesday, finishing up on Wednesday or Thursday. Give those posts a couple days to set and be really firm. But what's nice is that Wednesday turns into a flex day. So let's say it pours all day Monday. Maybe it storms. We definitely can't do anything then, you know. And so then we have to move it to Tuesday. So then Monday's project is now setting Tuesday, but we also have Wednesday as a flex day. Still gives the post 2 days to dry. Still, you know, gets that project done in the week.
And Tuesday's project gets bumped to Wednesday. Yeah. Just because everything kind of goes in dominoes. But Wednesday's there is kind of a stopgap to where it doesn't just domino through the entire week.
Yeah. And on the flip side of it, too, if we know that there's bad weather coming at the end of the week, we're able to push things forward, too. That maybe instead of Wednesday being a flex day, it now turns into a nail day. And so we're doing Thursday's projects Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, and on Wednesdays, on weeks that don't require a flex day, that's a great day to deliver material to the job sites or, you know, if there's any warranty related tasks need done, it's a great day for doing that.
Absolutely.
But yes, we've had really good success with having Wednesday as just a flex day.
Absolutely.
Just lets us handle whatever comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, worst case scenario, we don't need, you know, that day. And then it just ends up being a lighter week for everybody, which is great. It's, you know, our guys don't get overloaded, and makes Friday a little bit earlier too, which who can complain with that?
Sometimes, except for today. So what happened? So sometimes something like this happens. So last week, utility locates didn't happen necessarily on time.
Yep.
And I'm not saying anything about utility locators. Those guys, the guys and gals that do locates are absolutely overworked. There's not enough of them.
Absolutely.
You know, so there's just not enough hours in the day. But anyway, one of our projects didn't get located on time. So we had to relocate, push the project back a little bit. We ended up setting that one. We set it on Friday. Is that right?
I believe so.
Thursday or Friday?
Yeah. Finish it up on Monday.
Yeah. And so then we had to finish that project on Monday, which pushed the entire week back. And then we hit rock. We knew we were going to hit rock in Branson, but we hit it. It just took longer. So I was chatting with Scott, our crew foreman or crew chief on the wood crew, and I think today's going to be a little bit longer day for him.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean,
if you guys know Scott, tell him thank you for us.
Yes, he's great.
Guy's a rock star, and he works really hard.
Yeah, he really does.
And his guys, Justin and Matt, both do really good work, too.
They're great. Absolutely.
All right. So, we might. So, Rachel asked if there's any incentives for customers to install in the off-season. And the reason, there's a glance and we're doing this is because that's been a conversation.
Yeah, this is an ongoing conversation that we've been kind of having with just throwing around ideas.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Let's do it. All right, Rachel, you did this. All right.
Let's think about it. We're 43 minutes into the live, so there's 8 people right now that are going to know about it. So
okay. All right. So what we've been talking about and playing around with is sometimes you have different companies that do percentages off and that sort of thing. Sure. With the lumber shortage, as you know, that's not really an effective option for anybody at this point. Right. But we've had really great success pre-staining our boards. Yep. So that way it goes up, pre-stains great. So we've been talking about maybe anytime someone purchases a fence installation, they get that pre-stain upgrade.
Yeah. I think that's a good solution for everybody.
Yes.
Like Sarah said, right now with the lumber, and we talked about it a little bit last week, with lumber prices where they are, what we're trying to do is share the increase with the customers. And what that means is we're making less money, less margin per foot right now than we typically would, just to try to bridge the gap between where the materials are costing and what the final price is.
Absolutely.
So there's typically not room to offer a discount. But we can offer upgrades. Yeah. So that's upgrading to a pre-stained wood material, the pickets and the 2x4s. It's good for the client experience.
Absolutely.
Because we're not having to schedule a return trip to stain the fence. While we're there, for our production, it's also a little bit nice because we don't worry about, is the house taped off? Is everything, is the neighbor's car covered? Is there a pool that we're worried about? Pre-staining really helps everybody in this instance. And for the customer, when the fence is done, it's done. Yeah. It's not that, okay, well, the fence is done. Now they'll be out, the way their schedule is, they'll be out 3 weeks later to try to do the stain, and hopefully it doesn't rain. Hopefully the wood's dry enough to accept the stain, that sort of thing. Pre-stain works out for everybody. So you get a really beautiful fence the day we're done.
Yeah.
And, and maybe you get it for the same price as the wood fence.
Yeah.
As a typical wood fence.
Yeah.
So that is what we are currently kicking around. So
it's true. Yeah. But we're also open to feedback too on that. Like, is that something as a customer that would entice you? You know, that would be a great upgrade.
Yeah.
Is it something, because I do hear a lot in backyards when I'm talking to customers of they're asking about staining. They're like, well, maybe it's not something that meets our budget at this point, but when do we need to stain it? When should we stain it? If we do, what product should we use? You know, those are things that I'm hearing a lot of, or maybe it's not a first priority as soon as the fence goes up, you know, for that particular family. But I would say more often than not, people end up wanting to stain their fences. So it's kind of helping, you know, really two things. It's helping the customers get a fence that they're going to enjoy long term. And then on our part, it's helping our customer experience, and that's what we're here for sure.
Absolutely. So and also it helps our guys stay busy.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately that's why we offer incentive to build fence through the winter, which is typically our slower season, is to try to keep our guys busy.
Yeah.
You know, these are guys. Oh, we got a little technology freak out here. Sorry. And we're back.
All right.
So it keeps our team members busy.
Yes.
That way, because I mean, if you think about it, we typically start slowing down over the next month.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say too that with the pre-staining as well, it's not just our installation crews that are continuing with, you know, their production. It's also our great team back at the office, back at the shop that is pre-staining those boards.
Yep.
So it's really helping keep our entire team working.
Yeah.
You know, which is great.
Well, because it's our off season, but it's also the holiday season.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, no one wants to talk about it, but Thanksgiving's next month, and then we got Christmas.
We had to do it.
I know.
We're not even through Halloween yet, guys.
I'm not saying we're decorating, Taylor. We are not decorating for Christmas yet, but it's slower season is also the holiday season. So by incentivizing clients to build fence in the off season, keeps our guys busier, keeps them getting those steady paychecks right around the holiday season when they probably need it the most.
Absolutely. Well, and that kind of goes back to the hiring part. You know, every time that we talk about hiring for a position, that's a real conversation that we have. It's okay if we include another installation, you know, team member. What happens if it does slow down? Where do we put them? And it's always how can we utilize them instead of, because I don't know how to say that, but like we don't.
Well, so what Sarah's alluding to is, so there's two models, right? So there's one that you hire a bunch of team members in the spring, and then as things start tapering off in the fall, you release them and say, hey, we'll give you guys a call next spring when it gets busy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because summertime gets really busy. I mean, there's a lot of fences to build in the summer, and this year was no exception. You know, we've had a lot of work. So could we have hired more? Yeah, we probably could have hired 2 or 3 more crews to try to keep up with the work and to be more timely with it. But we can't keep 2 or 3 more crews busy through the winter.
That's very true.
And so that's we fall on the side of, you hire enough team members that you can take care of your customers as best possible as far as timeline goes, you know, but you can also keep your team members, you know, employed through the winter, employed through the slow season. Now that does mean longer wait times for fence.
Yeah.
You know, right now, so for a wood privacy fence, if I called today and I said, Sarah, I want a fence, when can you be out to install it?
Right now, we're every bit of 6 weeks out.
Yeah, so a month and a half.
Yeah.
So if we had more crews, that would obviously be a different answer.
Yes.
You know, maybe it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You know, we see other companies in the market that advertises we're only 3 weeks out. And that's fine. There's two sides to every coin, and that's not saying one side or the other is right or wrong. But we fall on the side of, I only hire enough people, or we only hire enough people that we can keep employed through the winter. So it makes me feel better about it. No one wants to be laid off. So like I said, our slow season typically is going to start here in the next month. Well, that's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I am not letting someone go 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. There's no way. All right, so now you're through Thanksgiving. Are you going to lay someone off right before Christmas?
Nope.
No way. No way. So now we're into January. Well, once you're in January, you're only a couple months away from the start of the season.
Yeah.
So at that point you keep them on anyway. So anyway, that's why we incentivize clients to build fence. I don't know where I was going with that. Rachel, I appreciate your question.
Yeah, that's been great. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah. So, but that's the side of the coin we fall on. So, but yes, there will be an incentive coming this fall and winter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Rachel. Brent's got a good question. So remember when I first met you, Springfield was flooded. Did that affect any of the fencing? You remember that, Sarah? So this was, gosh, Brent, when was it? That was 6 years ago? Probably. I bet it was. I bet it was every bit of 6 years ago. Yeah. We had a massive flood. Just a ton of rain came, within 2-3 days. And it was a solid 2-3 days of rain. So I live out in Republic, and I remember Republic Ford was flooded. It was, there was water up above the hoods of some of these trucks.
Yeah. I remember they were asking people to come help them move their vehicles.
Yeah.
Like it was very bad. It was a state of emergency for real.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. They had a couple of lanes of the highway were actually closed on 60.
Oh, that's right.
Where
Yeah.
Springfield Lake goes.
60 and 65, one of the ramps to go, let me think
Kabul,
this through. Yes, it was towards Kabul, was closed. Yes, because the river had come up over, obviously way over its banks and got into the highway. So, that much rain does affect us. It absolutely does.
No amount of Wednesdays can prepare you.
Yeah,
for that.
there's only so many Wednesdays in a week here. So, so obviously in that situation, we had to reassess what we're doing. Yeah. Even if a yard isn't flooded, which a lot of them were, it's going to be waterlogged.
Yes.
And so then the discussion is, does the equipment we use, is it going to damage the yard? And so that's typically a conversation to have with the client is, what do you guys feel about this? Obviously we want to build fence. Our guys would like to build fence, but we also don't want to damage the yard. So is the grass established? Has it been there for quite a while? And is it more of a rocky soil?
Yeah.
If so, we could probably build a fence, but is it new sod? There's not a chance. There's new sod that's wet. You can walk across. If you walk the same way in and out of the gate 2 or 3 times, you've worn a path through that gate already. So you're certainly not taking machine on that. But yeah, so rain, excessive rain obviously does. But in that case, like I say, we kind of reach out to our clients who understand.
Yes.
They're seeing the same weather that everyone else is seeing. And luckily fences they're not life-threatening, right? No, so we're not talking about really dire scenarios. Now, we are talking about kids and pets, so it absolutely is important. But there's usually some understanding that things get rescheduled. But when things do get rescheduled, they're rescheduled. Everything's on kind of the first-come, first-served basis, based on when we receive the signed contract and deposit. And that's the fairest way that we can think to do it. Just absolutely first come, first serve. No favorites. You can't pay extra to get bumped to the front. You can't. We're doing it in order. So when we go to reschedule it, we also reschedule based on the first come, first serve. Unless, like I said, some clients are willing to, if they have an established yard and a little bit, they understand that the machine could cause some damage to the yard, and they're okay with that, then they'll obviously get moved ahead of someone who has a sodded yard and that we just really don't want to damage.
Right, absolutely.
So Brent, thank you for your question. All right, so Sarah, we talked about the week. The week's going pretty well. What else? What do you got?
Let's see. It's a good question.
Have we talked about why we wear orange? Have we?
No, not specifically, but we wear a lot of orange.
It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
When I say it's kind of a thing, it is absolutely a thing.
Oh.
And so it's probably like the number one question I get on my YouTube page. So if you guys are familiar, I appreciate it. If not, so I always wear an orange button up. It's just a button up t-shirt, collared t-shirt. And then number one comment, I got another one today that says something like, you look like an inmate that's ready for an interrogation or something like that. Or what jail did you escape from? Or does the county know you're loose? I get that one a lot. But here's the thing about orange. One is it's easily recognizable. So if you see someone wearing bright orange, and let's be honest, wearing an excessive amount of orange, good chance they're with us. You know, and really where this started was on commercial projects. That, you know, any sort of project foreman can know at a glance which guys are ours, which ones are associated with our company. And not necessarily because of our guys, more so because of other people that might be on the job site. Yes. A few incidents came up that we weren't involved with, but there was kind of a project-wide discussion about behavior and things like that. And we got thinking about it, like, wait a minute, if our guys were bright orange, and we could say without a doubt, was he wearing bright orange, like burn your eyeballs orange? No? Probably wasn't our guy. Yeah. Our guys were probably overbuilding the fence. Yep. And so that happened almost at the same time. We were at the Springfield Chamber of Commerce used to host a business-to-business show, an expo, and I was sitting, our colors used to be royal blue and gold. And gold. Yep. Very regal colors. But as I was looking over like the sea of people, I realized there's a lot of blue out there. Yes. Blue is a very common color. And so I thought, you know, why are we blending in? You know, what good are we doing blending in? So and then that incident happened at another job site. And I said, okay, you're right. We're not going to blend in. Yep. We are going to stand out excessively if possible. Yeah. And so orange became our thing. Yeah. And it lets me make really neat jokes. I'm a dad. I get to make dad jokes such as like, orange, glad you picked Ozark Fence. I love it. Almost every Saturday on our Ozark Fence Facebook page, there's some sort of dad-related orange joke because I do the posting. So we get to make dad jokes about orange stuff. And I mean, and I like meeting new people. Yeah. And the best way to meet new people is to catch their attention. So at home show, at lawn and garden show, I typically wear an orange blazer with an orange top hat.
Yes.
And it garners some attention. Because here's the thing is what I really want is I want to be memorable. I want us to be memorable. Right. So that when the day comes, if it's 3 months, 4 months later, and someone asks this person who they know that does fence, I'd like them to say, well, what is that company? The orange. Everything they do is orange. What Ozark Fence? That's probably them. And I would like to be memorable that way. And so that way, it can start a conversation that way. And when I say excessively orange, everything is orange. Yes. I'm talking our master orange, the cables. Let's see if I can't do this without just our XLR cables are orange. Jackets are orange. Yep. We did these hats with we partnered with the Springfield Cardinals 2 seasons ago and gave away these really neat hats. Of course, they're orange. I'm telling you, everything is orange. I'll tell you a funny story. I'm not allowed to decorate our house at all, ever, period, end of story. Because, well, and it's been that way for a while, because I like orange stuff. And it almost becomes a joke, right? Well, we moved into a new house. It's been a couple years ago. And the tree, we live in a neighborhood that, unbeknownst to us before, but when we moved in, they have an HOA. And the HOA has some pretty particular rules. And one of the rules was about trees. You had to have a tree in your front yard. It had to be so tall. It had to be on and on. The tree died in the front yard. So we had to get a tree. And so now at this point, I'd already been banned from interior decorating choices. But Taylor said, hey, we need a new tree. Could you get a new tree? Yeah, I can get a new tree. You bet. So I reached out to a buddy of mine that does landscape, and I said, hey, I need a tree for the front yard. He's like, okay, what color do you want it to be in the fall? You know what? I hadn't even thought about that, but is blaze orange an option? And it was. Now, this is in the spring, though. So we planted the tree, and it's really pretty, and it's bright green, and it looks great. And then fall came. It was like right around this time of year where it started cooling off. And so every day when I came home, I'd turn the corner and I'd look. Not yet. Drive home, back in. Next day, turn the corner. Not yet. Drive home, back in. And then one glorious day, I turned the corner, and it was like that day. It went from green, like a dark green, to just poof, blaze orange. And that was the day that I lost all of my decorating privileges.
Inside or outside, doesn't matter.
Yep. If there's anything related to the house, I am not allowed to make decorating choices.
Yep.
Which is probably best for everyone. I'm not exactly the pro decorator in our house. Taylor does a great job.
I will say one of my favorite orange things is that all of our vehicles are also orange.
Yeah.
So we have, predominantly Dodges, orange Dodges.
Yeah.
And so I'll be driving down the road one day, and it'll be someone I don't know, but they don't know it's me driving, right? They think it could be Joe or, my dad. And so I get this crazy wave, and of course, I think I should know them. So I'm like, oh, hello, and then we both realize that we don't actually know who and so it's kind of like, oh, okay. But I love it. I love it that people see our company. They know one person from our company, and it's an automatic, like, hey, guys.
Yeah.
And I love it. So anytime you see me driving the big Dodge that's orange, absolutely wave.
Yeah,
love it.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny. So Sarah drives my old truck.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of waving, but every now and then there's a, you oughta. Luckily, there's not too many of those.
Yeah, luckily not.
So comment from Taylor. He'd paint our house orange if he could.
That is an idea.
I mean, maybe not the whole thing, but the trim. I'm just saying the trim would look pretty.
Yeah, I don't think your HOA would approve of that for sure.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
But how cool would that? Like one season a year, like Halloween season, we're in. We are in on Halloween.
And you would definitely be safe during rifle season.
What about just the door? Like people like to do.
You see accent doors.
Yeah,
okay.
accent doors.
Yeah.
Those are definitely a thing.
That's true. And you could change it back. It could just be for the month of October. You just switch it around, and then it's their inside door that's orange.
Yeah, I would just leave it. I would just leave it. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it. An accent door. Just think about it. Don't make a decision right now. No rash decisions. Okay. Lots of thought, lots of consideration. We'll talk about it later. I'll have a lot of great ideas by the time I get home. When your Can-Am is orange and I got orange shoes, I always laugh because it makes me think of your company. Brent, thank you. We appreciate your support. When we do Ozark Fence Cali, you're going to be our number one support staff out there.
Absolutely.
Everything orange.
You'll be our influencer out there.
That's right. That's right. That might be yes.
That's going to be a no.
No. I think that's a yes. I'm thinking about it, so it's probably a good idea. Like I'm doing it with my eyes right now. Like I think it's a good idea. I needed you to see that real quick. I was doing that.
Like one of those.
No. It's a.
Oh well, she did comment again. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. Verdict's in.
But we are having to restain it though. Like it's faded. Mm-hmm. The stain that was put on it originally, not a great stain. So it's fading. Uh-huh. Hey, we're gonna have to repaint that thing or restain that thing anyway.
I don't know.
Don't say no yet. Think about it. No rash decisions.
I think the doghouse you're about to be in could be orange. I think maybe that.
I don't think the HOA allows orange doghouses either.
But HOAs, though, that's a good segue into another thing as well. Like we do deal with a lot of HOAs.
Sure.
And it's kind of interesting to me because I have lost track of how many HOA documents I've read because they're all different. Like that's what's really interesting. There's a lot of people, that they'll ask. They're like, well, it's just an HOA thing. Oh, no. There's some of them, the most common I see, they really care about where the fence is located on, like, the house. Yeah. So it's 50% or back. So halfway up the house or back. Yeah. Some of them are just back corners. They just want you to have minimal backyard fenced in.
Pretty common.
Yeah. Some care about height. So there's some that only want 4 foot.
Yep.
So maybe it's they kind of want a more open concept for the neighborhood.
Sure.
I see that a lot.
Well, and sometimes even if it's 4 foot, the house is on the exterior ring in the neighborhood. So if they back up to a property that's not in the HOA, the back can be 6 foot tall, but the
Mm-hmm.
sides need to be 4 foot.
Yep. Same thing with, there's actually a neighborhood that we just got done finishing a project with in Nixa, where it has to be ornamental, either iron or aluminum with columns. But then if the back of their property faces a different neighborhood, it can be 6 foot privacy.
Sure.
So I say that to say that all HOAs are a little bit different, but the nice part about seeing all those different documentations is that we're familiar with how to navigate those changes, which is really neat.
Well, and we've probably seen something similar to it before.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing is everyone, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people we talk to, they say, well, I've got this very particular problem and it's going to need a very unique solution. And honestly, a lot of the problems are related, or similar. So we usually have a similar solution that will apply to that.
Yeah.
HOAs are no different. So like I said, back corners are pretty common. Halfway up the house,
Yeah, that's
50% is pretty common. Sometimes they require a shadow box.
That's true.
Versus a solid privacy.
Yep.
But so to your point, there are a lot of different HOAs, but they're all usually pretty similar.
Yeah.
And really it just requires approval. So we would submit your proposal. We'd give you your proposal with the drawing, and you would submit it to, usually it's either your HOA board or sometimes there'll be an architectural committee that would need to review it, and then they will let you know if any changes need to be made. So, and we're pretty easy to get along with. A lot of times the homeowner will want us to deal directly with the HOA, and that can happen. If the HOA has questions, we're happy to try to walk everyone through the process and try to make sure that what we're proposing is compliant.
Yes.
I mean, we don't want to be the contractor that, kind of muddles things up for everybody. So we want to make sure everybody's happy.
But I mean, that is something also to consider, that we don't necessarily know which neighborhoods have an HOA and which ones don't.
Yeah.
So that's something that we try to, on that first consult, we kind of walk through that process and what that looks like, and just put the bug in the customer's ear of, have you discussed with your HOA what your requirements are for your fence project?
Yeah, because technically HOAs are supposed to be registered with the county, but a lot of times they're not. And a lot of times the bylaws and the rules and regulations, the covenants and restrictions are a newer version. So an older version's on file with the county. And I understand, and we can have a discussion about, well, if it's not on file with the county, it doesn't count. That's fine. If you're willing to go to court and we're willing to battle this thing out, then that's probably true. But we could just follow the rules and regulations as long as they make sense, as long as they're not outlandish, and just avoid the whole thing to begin with.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it. And to your point, we do deal directly with a lot of HOAs, and they want to make sure that it's going to better the neighborhood instead of distract from it.
Well, that's the thing is, a lot of folks talk about HOAs as if they're a really negative thing, but at the core, what an HOA is trying to do is protect the property value of all of the homeowners.
Yep.
Like that's their job. And typically the HOA board members, I mean, as far all the ones I've dealt with, they're all homeowners.
Yeah, within that.
So sometimes, and I had to think about it for a second, because sometimes we've dealt with property management companies that work for the HOA that deal with enforcement and fines and that sort of thing. But typically the HOA is made up of residents. So it's not that it's an outside, third party that just makes up rules and regulations because it's fun. I mean, at the core of it, they're trying to protect everyone's value. So
definitely.
I don't like this one.
That is HOA approved.
Putting that one away. Brent out in California says 90% of my business is dealing with an HOA, and I'm the guy that enforces the rules.
Oof. Kudos to you, Brent.
I will not be the guy breaking those rules.
No.
I have seen Brent. No, thank you.
But that's also, that goes to show too. It's all about customer experience, because at the end of the day, we can put up whatever kind of fence our customer wants, but when we leave that neighborhood, we don't have to live there. The customers do, and that's our biggest, I guess.
Yeah, goal. And that's a good point too, is that the experience doesn't stop when we're done.
Yes.
Right. So the experience, if we've done our job right, will last decades, generations, and so we're going to try to set that project up for success for decades and generations. And part of that is trying to be the voice of reason if there is an HOA of saying, we really ought to follow this. We really ought to, if you can get a variance, then that's great. But I've seen it too many times where, maybe not too many times, but I've seen it several times where the belief was that the covenants and restrictions weren't enforceable. And so we built the fence in the way that the customer wanted it built, and that's perfectly fine. And then we came back and replaced it because they were threatened with, court action. They were going to be taken to court and legal action and all that. And then it was going to be cheaper to move the fence than it was going to be to hire a lawyer and all that. So anyway, we try to be the voice of reason as much as possible. But, all right, well, guys, let's do a last call. We've been at this a little over an hour.
Perfect.
So we'll do one last call for questions, comments, or otherwise, and then we'll wrap this up.
Perfect.
Sarah, what do you got planned this weekend? What do you got going?
Oh, I am going, let's see, well, we're going to go camping.
Nice.
I have a horse trailer with a small living quarters that we camp in. So
Okay.
take the horses, go trail riding, camping, and celebrate my friend Stacy's 50th birthday. So
There
he does
you
not
go.
have Facebook, but happy birthday anyways.
If you guys know Stacy, tell him happy birthday for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, what about you? Anything fun?
So we're doing a guys trip up to Kansas City, me and a couple buddies. We're going to go visit a friend of ours. So we were up. When were we up there? We were up there earlier this year. We all went as a group for a friend of ours' birthday. And while we were up there, we toured the Boulevard brewing facility and come to find out they were putting out a new bourbon. So we pre-ordered the bourbon, and each of us got our own bottle, of course, and it's out. So we're taking a guys trip, but just a quick head up there Sunday or Saturday afternoon, come back Sunday morning. But
awesome.
Go pick up some Boulevard bourbon.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I think it's Midnight Ritual or something like that.
Okay.
So
very cool. Very cool.
Maybe this will. We won't do a review. I was gonna say maybe this will be a whiskey review show, but no, it'll sit up on my shelf for quite a while. All right, guys. I don't see any questions, concerns, comments, or otherwise, so we'll start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching this as a replay and you do have questions, comments, or otherwise, leave it in the comments below.
Yeah.
We get notified. Sarah and I get notified each time there's a comment on our Facebook page. So we'll watch this, and if there are additional comments, we'll write them up on our whiteboard, and we'll address them next week.
Absolutely.
This is going to be a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Ask a Fence Gal Friday.
Love it.
Noon Central. Every Friday.
Awesome. Can't wait to see you guys next week.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you again.
Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend.